Hello everyone, Elvis X here, welcoming you back to Dubster Dive, the series where we take a look at something's English dub, and for this one, as you can tell by the title, we are covering something major. The Pokemon franchise. An anime series that I would love to tell you about my time with it when I was young, but my experience with Pokemon, don't really have one. Oh, sure, I knew of it. Everyone I went to school with was obsessed with it. My friend Dai was even big into it at one point, just like I'm sure the majority of you out there were. But with the games being on the Game Boy exclusively and me having poor vision, I couldn't really play them. So I guess I felt maybe I was alienated by it and it made me feel a little bitter, thus I never even gave the franchise a chance. So let me rectify that now. I decided to check out the anime because it's been requested many times. Mostly through DMs and stuff, but also by a few friends of mine as well, who wanted me to check it out and give my thoughts on it. So let me be the first to welcome you to the Pokemon Retrospective. I will be taking a look at everything the Pokemon anime has to offer, breaking down its history with the English dub, and everything else, as well as giving you my thoughts on the anime, and yeah. So for starters, let us begin with Pokemon Season 1 Indigo League. I marathoned all of the English dubbed episodes, which there was 80 of them out of 82 episodes, in the past week and a half. Needless to say, I do have a lot to talk about here. So let's get right to it. But first, the history. Pokemon Indigo League was an anime that aired in 1997. I don't think you all need me to tell you what Pokemon is at this point. I mean, it's Pokemon. But the anime was produced by OLM, the company behind Berserk, which I find absolutely astonishing to me. Berserk would air the same year this did, and, well, the two anime couldn't be more different. Anyway, Indigo League would run until 1999. It was supposed to end earlier, but, well, when we get to the episode breakdowns in a bit, you'll understand why it was delayed a bit. Anyway, the dub would begin production in 1998 in conjunction with 4Kids Entertainment, the people behind Yu-Gi-Oh! And such, Taj Productions, another company that used to make music and such for anime, and has a New York City dub studio as well, or just in New York. But they were known for dubbing Revolutionary Girl Utena, Irresponsible Captain Tyler, but another dub studio also got involved named Button Sound Incorporated. They worked on the first 13 episodes of The Slayers. Yes, this web really is that large. Anyway, they recorded the first 52 episodes of Pokemon in 6 months, and after some of the pronunciations were deemed a bit off, yeah, Taj were told to take away Pokemon from them once they got their own studio up and running. So 53 through 80, I guess in this case, or 82. Again, we'll get to that. Were handled by Taj Productions in conjunction with 4Kids. Strangely enough, a lot of the dub changes were actually asked for by Nintendo themselves, such as toning down sexual themes and things of that nature. Yeah, believe it or not, 4Kids weren't the main people behind that type of stuff back then. At least for this particular anime. So that's how the dub initially began production. It would air on syndication in 1998 before moving to Kids WB and staying there as its main home for this season. So you all know the story of Pokemon follows 10-year-old Ash as he wants to go around collecting the 8 gym badges as he has to, capture Pokemon to take on the gym leaders in order to compete in the Pokemon League tournament thingamajig. And yeah, I'm not going to go over the entire plot. I'm just going to give my 2 cents on episodes I liked, as well as maybe some fun facts on certain fun things with the dub that maybe you didn't know. But before that, animation-wise, I can't really tell all that, for obvious reasons. You know, blind and all. I'm a blind Elvis. But I heard people say it's alright. Especially for the time. The music, meanwhile, was done by Rave Music, who would go on to work on Yu-Gi-Oh! So, you know, the classic Pokemon theme that everyone knows. Would it be the very best? Da, 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 da. Yeah, that was done by these people. They did most of the lyrical stuff. And yeah, the music I actually think is really good. It's really catchy, memorable, and I don't have any problem with it. There is a funny story I found online about one of the main character or antagonistic groups' themes that I will get to when we introduce them, because it is hilarious. But first, let's get to the reason that this is called Dubster Dive. So, with our English dub, we have multiple ADR directors. Our main one being Michael Haney, but we also have Eric Stewart, who would work on some, Ted Lewis, and there's multiple others, guys. There's like 7+ ADR directors. As far as scripts go, Michael Haney again, Norman J. Grossfeld, Crispin Freeman, which was a surprising name, Tom Sullivan, and a bunch of other people also. I take it you all could see why I didn't want to list off literally every single scriptwriter or director this time. Again, 80 episodes, kind of a lot. But onto the actual cast. Who would play our main kid Ash? Well, that would be Veronica Taylor for this set. Again, we will get into that when we get there. I know a lot of people are going to bring up the voice actor changes, but that hasn't happened yet. Veronica Taylor is known for voicing Amelia Seirun from The Slayers and Ribrianne from Dragon Ball Super, but also, again, Ash Ketchum. I don't think I need to say anything more. And if anyone's going to say, actually, his name's Satoshi in Japanese, I know, it's Dubster. We go with American terms here, alright? Especially with how this dub had a huge impact on everyone. I'm going with what I was presented with in the dub, since that's what I watched. But, yeah. As far as Veronica Taylor goes, she said she got the role of Ash because of Amelia in The Slayers. Because they basically asked her to audition, because like, hey, you're in The Slayers, right? Could you audition for this too while you're at it? And there you go. And originally, though, they were planning to have an actual child actor play Ash, but they decided against it later on. My guess would be because they realized, well, looks like it's going to run for multiple seasons. That kid grows up, we're going to have to re-audition. So, you know. She said for her voice with Ash, she combines hearing Spritle from Speed Racer and Rudolph from the stop-motion cartoon, if anyone's seen that, which I grew up with that stop-motion, and I can definitely hear it after she mentioned that. And, yeah, to be honest, I think she does a fantastic job. You can tell everyone involved here actually cared about the project, and of course it's going to be dated in certain aspects. The side characters are going to sound really off and hilarious, but the main cast, this dub has a charm I don't think you really get that much these days. I know I say, oh, back in my day, but remember, this is my first time experiencing this, so I wasn't sure what to expect. And to be honest, it holds up better than I thought it would going into it blind for the first time. I will say it takes her a few episodes to click with Ash. You can tell she's still trying to find her footing, which makes sense. So I'd say around Ep 5, maybe 10 is when she really nails the role. But yeah, as far as Ash goes, he himself as a character is basically meant to be the everyman, from what I could guess. You know, he always wants to do the right thing, but he's also very stubborn, and at times it can also be incredibly dense. For example, when the antagonistic force, Team Rocket, we will get to them, trust me, are in disguises and it's blatantly obvious, he doesn't recognize them at all. And it's like, dude, what are you doing? So, yeah. But Veronica Taylor seems to love the character. She loves how happy and energetic and positive he always is, as well as the relationship with his Pokemon, Pikachu, that she finds it very wholesome and adorable. And I actually agree with that. I think Ash is a fun character, and I do see why people say he is inspiring with his never-give-up attitude, regardless of the situation. And, yeah. She said she had the most fun recording the fight scenes also for him. You know, shouting, hey, do this! Pikachu! Thunderbolt, now! You know. Yeah, you could tell she definitely had a lot of fun with this role. And she even had to talk like a girl a couple of times, since there's an episode where Ash is forced to cross-dress in order to get into a gym so he could fight for a gym badge. But yeah, the show's very episodic in nature, I should also mention now, which is why I don't really have to go over every last little episode, thank God. But, I will say, if you haven't seen the show before, I am going to go into heavy spoilers. I should probably put that right up front. So for Ash's Pokemon, yeah, like Pikachu, he gets, Pidgeotto, Charmander, you know, the works. I was actually really surprised, I'll say this here, I guess, give my thoughts, when he got Butterfree. I know someone's going to be like, actually, he got Caterpie. I know, come on though, guys, I'm trying to get through this. When Butterfree left, I was actually genuinely surprised by that, because it felt like one of those one-off episodes, but no, and it actually stuck. I thought he was going to get him, again later on, but he didn't. So, you know, I don't know. I kind of thought that was a nice touch. Wasn't expecting that. Anyway, though, Ash is a character that does develop subtly, from what I noticed back on that, because there are lessons he has to learn, such as train your Pokemon better, think of their feelings too, treat them correctly. Though there's a couple of times where he'll forget, because it's Ash, and needs to be reminded, like, dude, take your Pokemon to the Poke Center, you dumb... I mean, yeah. But overall, I think he's a decent protagonist. After him, we have Misty, who is another shoo-in for a violent tsundere trope. So Misty is a young girl Ash runs into when Pikachu is injured and he's trying to rush him to the Pokemon Center, or Poke Center, whatever you want to call it. And he ends up stealing her bike to get there faster because Pikachu's injured. This happens in the very beginning. So she basically follows him around after that because he breaks her bike, and she's like, I'm gonna follow you until you pay me back for my bike. And yeah, kind of reminded me of Lady and Dante in a sense, since Dante broke her motorcycle. Wonder if they took that from this. Interesting. Probably not. Probably just a coincidence. But yeah, Misty also uses water Pokemon, and I think at one point she said she wants to be a doctor. I'm not even sure. I'm going to be honest. Her goals aren't really made that clear to me, comparatively to the other cast members. She just seems like she wants to follow Ash around for the hell of it outside of the bike thing. Anyway, she is voiced by Rachel Willis, who's Charlotte from Berserk, and Mito Freaks from Hunter x Hunter 2011. Now, she actually said she got the role by answering an audition for an ad when she saw it, basically saying, requesting people to come in and try out for this Pokemon thing. So, cut and dry story. And she said when she went for the audition, she fell in love with the show when she saw it in Japanese, and how adorable it looked. She did have trouble, though, doing both Misty and one of our other characters coming up, Jessie, saying the audition, or the sessions were very exhausting, and she wasn't sure if she'd be able to do it, saying that it was a bit much. She also told a funny story of how, you know, when she first recorded it, she's like, oh, okay, that's it. The show's very episodic, so Misty and Jessie are done, so I'm done, right? Director person? And director was like, what are you talking about? She's like, well, how many more episodes are they in? And he just, like, every? And she didn't have any words for that. So, I don't know, I thought that was kind of funny. But yeah, she does a great job voicing Misty. As far as Jessie, we will, again, get to her in a bit. And Misty is a fun character as well as a good foil to Ash, since, you know, when Ash does or says something stupid, she's the one that has to basically put him in his place a bit. Be like, dumbass, no! As far as her Pokemon, she uses mostly water types, so Goldeen, Starmie, Psyduck. I thought she was a bit mean to Psyduck, I'm gonna be honest. It's also revealed in the episode Princess vs. Princess that she wants to win a doll set in this episode simply because her sisters kept giving her broken hand-me-downs. So you could tell that she had a rough childhood, as it were, with her 3 older siblings. But yeah, I think Rachel Willis did a fantastic job as Misty. After her, though, we have Brock. Oh, Brock! This is one I wanted to get to for a while, simply because this character he's definitely something. So Brock is the first gym leader Ash runs into, and Ash ends up beating him, and Brock follows him on a journey because Brock wants to become the world's best Pokemon breeder. So he can breed the most legendary Pokemon ever. That's his whole thing. So he knows how to take care of Pokemon and feed them properly and everything. And he's also a massive man whore. So some of his lines would include something along the lines of, wait a minute, isn't this violating a bunch of laws? The character will ask about, you know, what a female's doing. Brock's response will be, she can violate my rights anytime. This is literally dialogue, and I was genuinely shocked because I know how 4-kids are. I also thought it was hilarious. Also in the episode where Ash is prepping for the Pokemon League, talking to the secretary, Brock says, well, Ash, while she checks you in, I'm gonna check her out all day. Again, referring to the secretary. I think my favorite, though, is when he's talking to another Pokemon breeder. He literally says the lines, I want to breed like you. I mean, be a breeder like you. And it's like, holy fuck, Brock. Every time. Any chick he sees, he wants to hit on, man. It's insanity with this man. His libido is never satisfied. Let this man play Dead or Alive. Anyway, Brock is voiced by Eric Stewart, who's Kaiba from Yu-Gi-Oh! And Gowry from The Slayers. Speaking of which, it was actually because of Gowry, yeah, another Slayers situation, that they called him up to at least come and work on the Pokemon project. In fact, his first thing for Pokemon was to record an ad that said, Pokemon coming soon. And that was it. He auditioned for Pokemon, but didn't get any part, and he thought that was the end of it. But the person they did get for Brock, we don't know who it was at the time, they said wasn't working out, and he was their second pick. Yeah, he was their fallback guy. Makes me wonder, in an alternate world, who did voice Brock? He said for Brock, he imitated Mark from the G-Force dub. So, yeah. But in any event, I think he did fantastic as Brock. Brock is a very fun character, and he's basically doing his Gowry voice for the character. So if you've seen The Slayers, then you know what to expect. Eric would go on to say he loves how relatable the characters are in Pokemon, as well as the fact that there's a moral to the story, you know, follow your dreams and all that stuff. And he admits Squirtle's his favorite Pokemon. Threw that in there because he said it was the first thing he got to voice in the actual anime. The double casting, I will say, is out of control with this. I'm going to say that as well. Even Ash's voice actor, Veronica Taylor, would also play Ash's mother, Delia, if that is how you pronounce her name. Probably butchered that. Someone's going to want to punch me. It's Delilah. Douche. Yeah. As far as the Pokemon Brock uses, he uses mostly rock types like Onix. He also gets a Vulpix at one point, so That's kind of cool, I guess. Now, before I get to the main characters I want to talk about, who I mentioned before, I want to get to some of the side ones. So first we have Gary Oak, who's Ash's de facto rival and the best gym leader from Pallet Town, where Ash is from, who's voiced by James Carter Cathcart, Vector from Sonic X, and Woody from Aria the animation franchise. And how could I describe Gary Oak? He's a dick. That's it. That's all I got on him. Yeah. I don't know what else you want me to say. He's basically cruel to Ash just because he's like, yeah, I'm better than you, Ash. The little shit. And I can say that, I mean, James does a great job voicing him. Yes, I know someone's going to bring up there's a voice actor named James with a K. I know. But yeah, as far as Gary Oak goes, he does a great job with him. Now, as far as Gary Oak's grandfather, Professor Oak, he is voiced by Stuart Zagnut, who's Shizawa from Baki, the original 90s one and the Netflix one. They actually got him back. As well as in a bunch of live-action stuff like Law & Order and The Blacklist. And, yeah, Professor Oak is basically exposition guy. He's a Pokemon professor and is the one who gives Ash his Pikachu in the beginning and all that stuff. And I think he does a good job. He comes across like the, you know, wise older dude. Well, I ain't got no complaints. After him, we have the narrator-kun, voiced by Roger Parsons, who's a newscaster in Across the Universe, and Sid from Dissidia Final Fantasy, the good ones. He's also voice of Darkness from Bullet Witch. I only put that here because I wanted to reference that game and see how many of you understood that joke. Anyone remember Bullet Witch? And I actually like his voice. He does a great job making it feel like you genuinely are on an adventure, which you are. Adventure. Adventure, more to talk. And yeah, he would be someone who would come and go as narrator for a lot of the series, actually. So I actually really do like him as a narrator, especially when he becomes a smartass. Like, what'll happen next time? I mean, I'm sure you could figure that out. Like, you know, he'll meme a little bit. He's a fun narrator. Good narrator, man. Next, we have Nurse Joy and Officer Jenny. Nurse Joy is the one who runs every Pokemon Center, and apparently she's also got a lot of cousins and sisters who look exactly the same as her. Same with Officer Jenny, who's the police officer in every city, who also has a bunch of cousins. Yes, Brock hits on every single one of them. Both of them are voiced by Megan Hollingshead, who's Rangiku from Bleach. We did a full retrospective on that too, if you want to see it. And Shizune from Naruto. And to be honest, I couldn't even really tell that it was the same person unless I listened closely. Everyone in this cast, I will say, is fantastic vocal range, in my opinion. If you disagree, that's cool. But, yeah. For me, I thought she did a great job as both of them. Nurse Joy is the nice, caring person. Officer Jenny as the no-nonsense, you broke the law, you're coming with me. So, I think Megan did a solid job as both. But now for the main event out of the main cast, before we get to things I enjoyed about each episodes. Team Rocket. Team Rocket, after hearing their motto, I could literally quote it word for word now with how many times I had to hear it. I also kept quoting it to Nomi, and it drove him mad. Because, yeah, I just feel like being a dick like that. To protect the world from devastation, to unite all peoples within our nation, to denounce the evils of truth and love, to extend our reach to the stars above, Jesse, James, Team Rocket blasting off at the speed of light. Surrender now and prepare to fight. Meowth, that's right! You might ask, did I have that written down? No, I promise you I didn't. And if I made you feel nostalgic, good. If I made you want to punch me, why? Do you not like fun? Anyway, so the Team Rocket members based on that are James, Jesse, and Meowth. There's others too, but first, James. In eps 1 through 8, or 9, multiple sources are claiming different episodes, it was Ted Lewis, who's Dalton from One Piece 4 Kids dub, and Nelton Thorndyke from Sonic X. I can't believe there's a character in there whose last name was Thorndyke. Anyway, Ted Lewis would step down from the role thinking that he was going to go pursue stage acting, but yeah, I don't think that quite worked out for him. Again, we'll get to that in a minute. So, EPS 10 plus, they asked Eric Stewart to do a voice match for him. And I gotta be honest, I barely even noticed a difference. I genuinely didn't. And James is probably my favorite character in the series. I absolutely love James. I love Team Rocket. I'm a Team Rocket stand after this. I don't think anyone can blame me. I actually found them as much more interesting characters, too. But yeah, some of my favorite lines from James when they were losing. It's times like these, I wish I went straight. You all know why I laughed at that. I know he meant straight and narrow, but come on. Or the fact that there's a lot of times where James and Jesse wear disguises and they get to stretch their voices a lot, including a lot of times where James has to cross-dress as a woman, and there's a point way late in season 1 where he goes, okay, but next time we're stealing men's clothes, where you could tell he's really getting ticked off about this. I think one of my favorite episodes, actually, is the one titled Holy Matrimony, where you find out about James' past. And I actually feel really bad for him here. So, James came from a very wealthy family, and he ran away from home because he was sick of it. He didn't want to be part of an arranged marriage or any of that life. He wanted to be free. And in this episode, his parents faked their own deaths, like with coffins included, to lure him back home, just so when he arrived, they could force him into that marriage again. Like, holy shit, man, that is awful. I'm sorry, but I felt bad for him here. I'm actually rooting for him to have a face turn at some point. I don't know. What's funny is Eric told a story how the director told him to go with a serious villain voice, and he was telling the director, he's like, I don't know, man, these seem like silly villains to me. Are you sure they're not the comedic relief villains for the serious ones to show up later? And the director's like, no, these are serious, trust me. It wasn't until an episode where James dressed in drag when Eric looked at the director and said, serious villains, huh? And the director basically said, okay, go full silly. So, yeah, he went full silly after a few eps, and you can tell James starts off very silly or very serious and then goes full silly after a few eps when Eric finds his groove as James. As far as Pokemon he uses coughing. And to be honest, I wasn't expecting his Pokemon to evolve, or Jesse's, which we'll get to her in a second. But yeah, his evolves into wheezing, and I don't know, I thought that was cool. Coughing's a great Pokemon, Coughing! But yeah, I think this might be my favorite portrayal of Eric Stewart's from everything I've heard him do. I absolutely love his voice as James. Again, James is probably my favorite character. So, as far as his partner in crime, Jessie, she's also voiced by Rachel Willis. And you can definitely tell in the flashback because she's just doing her Misty voice for Lolly Jessie. But yeah, there's moments where Jessie has to imitate James. So you hear Rachel trying to imitate Eric a little bit, and it's kind of funny. As far as other voices, I mean, they have to do silly Hispanic accents. They have to do, like, any silly voice you could think of. Old man voices, like, everything. It's great. There's also a moment where Jessie says she's a wine expert. Again, like, alcoholic reference for kids? Confused? There's plenty of others you'll hear me bring up when we get to the episodes in a sec. But yeah. As far as Jessie's character goes, it seems in Princess vs. Princess and Holiday Hijinks, yes, we will talk about that controversy as well, that it's clear she had a really rough childhood and was abandoned, it seemed. But, yeah. I mean, hey, you do get Jessie and James singing a lot, too. So, there's that. I mean, Eric himself said he loves doing the singing parts. I'm pretty sure both them did too. You can tell they absolutely love voicing these characters, especially in interviews, when they more or less state they had the most fun voicing these characters, and I don't blame them. Jesse and James have a lot going on. You get to be very dynamic, and a lot of times I think we can agree it is fun to play the bad guy in the show, right? If you have the opportunity. Now for the third member of the trio, Meowth, who's Adam Matty Blaustein. Blaustein? Oh, I butchered that. Drive from Dinosaur King, and Oslo from Fighting Foodons. Now, look, I am going to bring this up because I saw a lot of people saying that, you know, Maddie was a beacon for trans actors everywhere. I, quite frankly, don't give a shit about that. As long as the person does a good job in the role they are given, you know my beliefs on this, I'm not changing my stance, then I don't care. They could be an attack helicopter, and as long as they voice the character, good for you, as long as you do a good job. And does Maddie do one? Yes, 100%. Fantastic job. Meowth is another character I really liked. Meowth's backstory, So, Meowth apparently lived in Hollywood, California. Just shut up, go with it. Again, 4 kids are Americanized. And he learned to talk. He's a talking Pokemon because he fell in love with a cat who liked humans. So he wanted to be more like a human to impress her. He even has to translate what Pokemon say for other characters. And yeah. I will say Meowth's a little bit, kind of a little shit, though, because there's lots of moments when I noticed Team Rocket were thinking of turning good, like, maybe we should give up our life of crime, Jesse. And Meowth's like, no, you can't do that. You're not going to get anywhere going nice. You got to be evil. That's where the money is. Yeah, Meowth's kind of a little shit, but I don't care. I love him. He's good pet cat. So every member of Team Rocket is fantastic. Now for the last members of Team Rocket, Giovanni, who's the leader of Team Rocket, is voiced by Ted Lewis. So he told you he'd be back. He has a filter when he first shows up, but it doesn't last long later on. He doesn't have it. And I think he does a really good job sounding imposing here. I actually am glad the voice change happened, because I think Ted Lewis fits Giovanni better, at least from what I could tell. Who knows what would have happened if he were still voicing James, but either way, we don't get that much on Giovanni in the anime. When I get to the episode that he features predominantly in, it's mostly meant to set up future events with him. So, as far as the last members of Team Rocket, first is Butch, voiced by Eric Stewart, and Cassidy, voiced by Megan Hollingshead. They only appear in one episode this whole season, and yeah, that's really it. They don't leave much of an impression. So I can't really speak on them, other than the fact that they seem more competent than Jesse, James, and Meowth, but that's it. I will say Eric Stewart did say that the episode where Butch, James, and Brock are all in it, he was memeing saying, we should just title this episode Eric Stewart featuring those other Pokemon guys. It's like, that was funny. But yeah. That's basically it for our main cast. Rachel Willis would also voice a bunch of Pokemon too. In fact, a lot of them would. For example, she voiced some sounds from Pikachu. She voices Jigglypuff. Yeah. But I already said the double casting was all over the place. The accents are hilarious. But now that we have everything with the dub set